this is task two, which is about brands, and the first question is: we like you to pick out three of your favorite brands. Are they old favorites or something new? What do you like about them in particular? To begin with, um, if I'd have to choose one, I'd probably say Nike because Nike has always been embedded in like what I do. With like obviously me being very involved in football like from a young age, and I feel like growing up my favorite players had always worn like had the Nike sponsors, so would wear Nike boots, the Nike shin pads, the Nike thermals and stuff. And I feel like um I felt at the time, obviously at the time, I felt like if I didn't have the Nike gear, then I wouldn't become the player I was aspiring to be. So I feel like Nike's always been embedded in me, if you will. And also I feel the quality of Nike is very like it's always been very high, and I feel like that's a good mix to have with the fashion and the sport edge. Like quality is quite high on the list because I felt like whenever I've had something Nike, it's gone like that 2-3 months extra than any other brand I've invested in. So yeah, that's why Nike is probably at the top for me. Secondly, my favorite brand. I was actually introduced to this brand by a friend, which is and the brand is Soul Cow, which you can buy from Republic. And I feel like obviously I'm like a cool guy. I don't really like to stand out when I go out and stuff, and I like to keep it simple when I dress. So I feel like Soul Cow really epitomizes this because with this like their concepts are very simple but style like it really attracts me at the same time. They don't really clash that much, and um, I've never walked into Republic and gone to like the SoCal section and like I've never like not bought anything, and I feel like that's a good thing because I feel like they keep their ideas rolling and they keep new stuff coming out, and I feel like that's a good element. And also I feel like they're very modest with their pricing because I feel like the quality and like the concept they come out deserve to be a bit higher price, but obviously they've kept they've kept their pricing down, and I feel like that's a good thing. So yeah, that's why Soul Cow is probably second on my list. Um, Thirdly, the brand I like and I also respect is BlackBerry as a whole, and I feel obviously BlackBerry's been around for quite a while now. So yeah, but I feel like they've really like come to the forefront over the past 2-3 years because I feel like it really took like especially my generation by storm. I remember at one stage where I feel like probably 95% of my generation had a BlackBerry, and was also had BBM, and I feel like their BlackBerry as a whole is owed a lot of respect because it's come in and it's taken over. It sort of took over texting for a while, and I feel like obviously with a phone, like one of the primary uses of a phone is to text, and I feel like BBM have come like they've come to the forefront with this concept of BBM, and it's like sort of overtaken texting, and I feel like they deserve a lot of respect for that. So that's why BlackBerry is my third choice. Um, Second question: what's important for you in terms of what brands should be doing? Corporate social responsibility, providing opportunities for young people. Um, I feel like um, what's important for me in terms of what brands should be doing is like the message it's putting out. So it should be a message of like of like unity and stuff, and like we want like we you count like a lot for us. So like I feel like um brands shouldn't just be fishing out like stuff. They should really be considering their target audience and like really like appreciate them. So I feel like that's one of like um one of the importances for me for what brands should be doing. And I feel like brands should always be conscious of the change its target audience goes through because obviously, especially for my generation, there's a lot of change in like transaction, especially like take for instance phones like a year or two BlackBerry was like at the top, but I feel like people are like coming off BlackBerry now and going more to like different like the iPhones. They're going to the iPhones and the Samsung Galaxies, and I feel like that's a transaction that brands need to like brands should look at and like obviously take into consideration that stuff's not going to be hot forever. So you have to really it's the sort of thing where you have to move with the times. Also, I feel like brands should make sure that like what they're putting out. there is something that the audience will gain like from rather than or it being like a follow fashion thing. And that basically I'm saying that whenever they put out product, I feel like they should make sure that they're taking into consideration that their audience is gonna get some sort of personal success from it. Like feel like this is gonna benefit my life, and it's not really just gonna be a liability in like 2 3 months down the line. And I feel like they should feel like whenever they put something out, it's something for life, and it's not, and it's also not something where people are gonna get it because other people are gonna get it. And I feel like it should encourage like originality, and people stop following and like being the sheep and start being the leader and stuff. So yeah, I feel like that's what brands should like really focus on. I think it's really important. A good brand to say I feel is BBC as a whole, because I feel like it's taken a lot of advantage of the influence it has like in our society, like in Britain. And I feel like it's taken this and it's used it and it's turned it into positive energy, because obviously me being a college student, I'm learning more about life after college with like work and university and all that stuff. And I feel like BBC, obviously the influence BBC has in Britain, is used that to get like to offer opportunities and get like especially our generation involved. And I'm really happy about that, because I've like obviously the different platforms it has with the BBC, like sport, BBC News, BBC Radio. And I feel like it's given a lot of opportunities for like things such as apprenticeships, and it's like offered a vast amount like reaching out to schools and stuff. And I feel like that's a great way, like a gateway for youth to actually get work, and like not think I've got this qualification in broadcasting, but I can't even find a job. They want someone with experience. And I feel like BBC really like it's a help for them. Like if they don't get the job, they can get the experience. So like maybe a year or two down the line, with that on their CV, they could walk into an interview and say, yeah, I've worked with the BBC, I've got experience, I've got the XYZ amount of experience, so I know what to do on the job. And it can really like impress the employer. And I feel like BBC should get a lot of respect for some of for a lot of that. So yeah, I feel like that's a good brand that's speaking to people. Um, what about the brands that are getting it wrong? Brands getting it wrong. I don't feel any brand is getting it wrong, but I feel that some brands are sort of restricting themselves. And I'd probably say the brands such as the Top Mans and the Hollisters and stuff, because I feel like Top Man, like over the time, it's sort of jumped the gun a bit. It's sort of become a bit overpriced, and I feel like some of the stuff is a bit like some of like the product they're starting to put out is a bit like over the top and trying to be too weird and different. Maybe that's fashion for them, because I used to shop in Top Man, but I stopped because I feel like stuff like it began to become inconsistent for me. And I feel like also they sort of have like Top Man alongside with Hollister. They sort of had this ideology of them, like of a certain person working for them. And I feel like when people apply for jobs there, they sort of look at the exterior of the person, like how the person looks, instead of like what's inside them, like the drive they have. Do they have the passion for the job? Are they gonna are they gonna offer good customer service to customers? And I feel like they've looked more at like how the person looks like on the outside instead of the person on the inside. And I feel like that's not like, it sort of excludes them. And I feel like these brands try to create a bubble, like a separate world from society, if you will, for themselves. Because obviously, like with me, like if I was window shopping and then I walk past Hollister and I see these big buff workers with muscles and all these things, I'm gonna feel intimidated. I'm gonna feel like, oh, I don't want to infiltrate their world and stuff. So I'm probably less inclined to walk in there. And I feel like that's not really like what you should be aiming for. So yeah. And the final, can you think about any recent campaigns that have really caught your eye? What made you notice them? I really like the London 2012 ad. The new one for like the campaign with Rech 42 in it. And I feel like this like advert is probably one of the best adverts I've seen in a while, because like it seemed to have like intertwined a lot of platforms. Like it's got Wretch 32, which is a rapper from London, and then you've got David Beckham, which is like England's like talisman in football, and then you've got Derrick Rose, which is the NBA basketball player from like America, and I feel like this advert it basically just epitomizes unity and stuff, and um it looks at bringing like people together through sport, and I feel like that's through sport, music, and different. Obviously, you had Eddie Caddy in this, so like it's other platforms, and I feel like it sort of merged. It sort of brings the idea of merging people together over public things, and I feel like that's very like that's good. Like, and I was really proud of that. Yeah.